Have you ever wondered how our minds really work? I mean, really work? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty incredible theory, a single idea that might just connect our dreams, our creative sparks, and even the rise and fall of entire civilizations. And it all kicks off with a puzzle that's 1,000 years old, wrapped up in one single person. Just listen to these words from the 11th century Persian poet, Omar Khayyam. He had this incredible way of capturing the human condition, our feelings about fate, time just slipping through our fingers. His poetry is all about motion, that constant ebb and flow of life.
But here's the twist. The exact same guy who wrote that was also a total genius of a scientist, a man of cold, hard, structured logic. He created a calendar so accurate it was basically unmatched for centuries. He laid down the foundations of algebra. I mean, it's like we're talking about two totally different people, right?
So that brings us to the big question. How can one brain hold both the free-flowing, emotional world of a poet and the rigid, logical world of a mathematician? Is he just a walking contradiction? Or does his mind actually show us a fundamental secret about how all of our thoughts work? Okay, let's dive into this.
To really get to the bottom of this Khayyam puzzle, we need a toolkit. And according to the theory we're looking at, all of our thinking can be broken down into 3 core pieces. Think of it as the mind's basic operating system.
So first up, you've got form. This is the stable stuff, the architecture of your mind. It's your memories, the rules you live by, all your habits, and established patterns of thinking. It's the framework that gives your thoughts stability and shape.
And pushing against that, you have motion. This is the complete opposite. It's the constant flow of new ideas, new feelings, new information coming in from your senses. Motion is what challenges and shakes up all that stable structure. It's the force of change.
And this is where the magic happens. When form and motion interact, they create the continuum. This is the living, breathing field that we actually experience as consciousness. It's where the old structures meet new energy, and bang, that's our awareness. Okay, so what power is this whole system of form, motion, and continuum? Well, the theory says our mind is constantly munching on a mix of 2 very different kinds of information. On one hand, you have external inputs. That's everything coming in from your senses, what you see, hear, touch. This stuff keeps us grounded in reality. It's what's new and happening right now. And on the other hand, you have internal inputs, your memories, your feelings, your daydreams. This is what gives everything context and meaning. Every single thought we have is some kind of blend of these 2. And the really cool part is that the ratio of these inputs at any moment completely changes our state of mind. If you're swamped with external data, your thinking is super concrete, very in the now. But if internal data takes over, you drift off into imagination and creativity. And that sweet spot, right in the middle, that's where integrative thought happens, where new ideas meet real-world application. Now, let's see how this whole framework plays out with something we all do every single day, the huge difference between being wide awake and being deep in a dream.
So this shows us that consciousness isn't just an on or off switch. It's a spectrum, a sliding scale. When you're laser focused on a task, that's just a state of super high external input. As you dial that down and let the internal stuff creep in, you slide into creativity, then daydreaming. And if you shut off the external world almost completely, you land in a dream. It's all connected. And this explains so much, right? You ever wake up with the solution to a problem? That's not magic. It's just your mind, finally free from all the external noise, getting to work connecting the dots on the inside. On the flip side, a logical thought can totally fail if it gets starved of new external information and just gets stuck running in circles.
Okay, so we've got our toolkit now. Form, motion, and this whole idea of balancing inputs. So let's circle all the way back to our original mystery man, the poet-scientist Omar Khayyam.
And here's the big reveal. The theory says Khayyam isn't a paradox at all. He wasn't a man with 2 competing minds. No way. He was the absolute ideal, a single mind operating in a state of perfect, beautiful balance.
Just look at this. His scientific brain provided the stable form, the structure, the logic, the undeniable laws of math. But his poetic soul provided the motion, that deep emotional reflection on life, death, and uncertainty. And the resonance between those 2 didn't create a conflict. It created something much rarer, a profound wisdom, an ability to hold 2 opposing ideas and be okay with it.
But here's where this idea really gets wild. What if this whole balancing act doesn't just apply to one genius mind? What if this same pattern scales up to explain the entire rhythm of human history? The core idea here is that this pattern is fractal. You know, like a snowflake, where the same design repeats itself at different sizes. The same back and forth between our internal world of memory and the external world of the senses, well, it gets mirrored on the massive scale of our societies.
I mean, think about it. Societies go through cycles, right? You have these long periods dominated by internal stuff, tradition, stability, doing things the way they've always been done. Then you get these explosive periods driven by external inputs, new discoveries, exploration, scientific revolutions, a renaissance. These huge historical waves are just a giant reflection of the same balancing act happening inside our own heads every single day.
So what we're really looking at here is this incredible, profound link between our inner world and the world out there. That same fundamental search for balance between the structures we build and the new information that challenges them, it guides everything from a fleeting thought to the grand sweep of history.
All right, so let's just nail down the big takeaways. First, your mind is this triad of form, motion, and continuum. Second, all your thoughts are a blend of what's coming in from the outside and what's already inside you. Third, waking and dreaming aren't opposites, they're on the same spectrum. And finally, and this is the mind blower, that same tiny balancing act in your head scales all the way up to shape human civilization.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought, a way to bring this huge theory right back down to you. We live in a world that is just screaming for our attention, constantly flooding us with external inputs, notifications, headlines, endless data. In the middle of all that noise, all that motion, how do you find the time to connect with your own internal forms, with your memories and your sense of meaning? Where do you find your balance?